Good afternoon, everybody. Once again, we're continuing to follow the latest on the shooting of conservative commentator Charlie Kirk. President Donald Trump announcing on his social media platform just a little bit ago that Charlie Kirk has died as a result of that shooting. We're going to go live right now to this NBC special report. Joining this in progress.
In large part because the president is about getting results. He is about seeing the fruits of labor actually coming to work and getting things done. And Charlie provided that. He would always ask Charlie about the pulse of the young people in this country. What are you hearing? What are you seeing on the road? And what makes Charlie so valuable to the MAGA movement, to conservatism, to the Trump family, to the Trump organization, the Trump administration and orbit, is that he would tell them where he thought that they were missing it, where there are some problems, where to focus on, shifts in strategy, if you will. He knew those things as it related to his area of expertise. And so when you're running campaigns and you're looking to try and mobilize and motivate and create movements out there across the country in different segments, Charlie had the pulse of so many youth across this country, people who were yet to be able to vote from an age standpoint, people who were just starting to vote and getting involved. And so that's why they relied on him so much. What he has built, and I know it's going to live on, is you can't overstate how much he has been important to this movement.
Hogan, and how does this change sort of what happens in the way we interact with people who work in politics, right? Because, again, like I just want to hammer this point home. I mean, Charlie Kirk was not elected. I mean, he was a huge conservative figure, but he is not somebody who had run for office. He just had a huge platform, and he was the target of an assassin, right? And yet you work with people like Speaker Johnson, who have to go out there and meet voters, and everybody else that runs for office. And we've seen what kind of violent world it has become in our country now when someone like Charlie Kirk is killed in cold blood on a college campus.
There is no question this will send shivers through the spines of many elected officials, many public figures, because we're out giving speeches all the time. We're out interacting with voters all the time. I was just talking to someone on the floor who I had gone on the Trump bus tour with to Pennsylvania and Wisconsin and Ohio and Florida and North Carolina, and we were just saying how this could now happen at any moment in time. And Kelly O'Donnell was pointing out there have been some questions and concerns with members of Congress as well about their safety and security. And these things are being reported now, but they're also, so many are not reported, the threats that these people receive. Again, no place for it. I would argue it's disgusting. It's completely against our Judeo-Christian founding, our civil society, our very American way of life. But at the same time, it's a reality at this point, and I hate that it is. So I think people out there are going to be quite concerned and maybe even reticent to get out on the political stage when it's meant for open, honest debate and not violence. But we've seen so much of this in recent years, including today, of course, and it's just got to stop.
Yeah.
It just has to stop.
Yeah, regardless of your political views, it is un-American. It has gotten too violent, and now someone has died. Hogan, we thank you for sharing your thoughts. I am so sorry for the loss of your friend. I do want to bring in our senior Washington correspondent, Hallie Jackson. Hallie, we cover politics day in, day out. Who's up, who's down. Something like this, it's just so terrible. Someone who is out there, who is passionate about one side, and shot while just out there trying to practice freedom of speech, what we have in this country.
It is, I think, shocking and stunning, Tom, to so many people across the political spectrum. And it comes as we have seen an uptick and a growing concern about political violence in this country. If you look at simply what has happened just this summer alone, I know you've talked about the assassination attempts, obviously, against current President Trump, of course, back when he was a former president running for office. But you look at just this summer, you had the CDC shooting, of course, that happened just last month. You had in June a Republican congressman, a former Trump staffer, in fact, says he was run off the road by somebody who threatened to kill him. You have, of course, the death of that Minnesota state lawmaker and her husband, along with the shooting of another another lawmaker and his wife. In April, you had Governor Josh Shapiro and his family sleeping inside their home when it was set on fire at the governor's mansion in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. That is just the last couple of months, Tom. And you are seeing now from Republicans, from Democrats, a condemnation of political violence that defies the political spectrum here. And you are also seeing, I think, from so many people, Hogan spoke about this, how close Charlie Kirk was, how influential he was, not just as a so-called influencer or a conservative activist, but as a friend, as a confidant to so many people who have now, in this second Trump term, attained the highest levels of power in this country. Despite his age, just 31 years old, he had gotten close to so many, including the president's son. He was instrumental, of course, in being vocal in support of now Vice President J.D. Vance. And you are seeing this stunned reaction, Tom, across Democrats, across conservatives, to the death of Charlie Kirk, as we have learned tonight, from President Trump himself, Tom.
Yeah. Hallie Jackson, stand by for us. Joining us on the phone now is Taylor Dufour and Haley Birmingham. The married couple were at the event about 30 feet away from where Kirk was speaking. I know you guys join us now by phone here. I'm sorry that you guys had to witness that. Tell us what you remember seeing when you heard that first gunshot.
Hi, thank you.
Me?
I'm sorry, guys. Are you there? Taylor and Haley?
Yeah, we're here. Yeah, we're here. Sorry.
Again, I don't know if you were able to hear me. Tell us what you remember seeing. Did you hear the gunshot?
Yeah, we did. We heard the gunshot and people just started dropping, and so my wife, my biggest concern was getting her down and laying on top of her. I looked over and saw him as he was falling out of his chair, and I saw the blood coming out of his neck. And it was just, people panicking, kind of chaos. But everybody worked together. Everybody kind of came together and was, what can we do to help everybody and get everyone safe?
Taylor, I don't know if you heard, but the president announced that Charlie Kirk has passed away. Knowing that you went there to see this event and then kind of witnessing that, what are your thoughts tonight?
Well, it's just sad. Honestly, it makes me very angry. I do get very angry about it, that somebody could have this much hate inside them as to want to take somebody out of this world. And, it's just sad as well because our world is so divided at the moment. And I feel like people just need to get along. And, he was trying to help. He was incredible. Charlie's freaking amazing. Our kids love him. Everyone around here loves him, The crowd that was there, everybody was so happy and fun and having such a good time, and it's the kind of people that he drew, and for it to turn into what it did is just sad.
Haley, what do you remember seeing or hearing when you were there with your husband?
I just remember the pop and everyone looking around questioning the same question that I was questioning, if that could have been a real gun. Kind of sounded like a louder version of a pop gun. And then there was like a more military stature looking man in front of us, and he was pushing people down saying, everyone get down, that's a gunshot. And then the next thing you know is you're just trying to look for your exits, and he's saying to stay down, but do you run? Do you stay down? Do you crawl? You don't know what to do. Yeah,
it's terrifying. I'm sorry you guys had to go through that today when you just went to go, hear somebody speak. When the gunshot rang out, they're saying it was from 200 yards away, which is pretty far away, in a different building. For people that aren't familiar from where this happened, the place where they're saying the shot came from, is that somebody where they could have sort of been hidden, maybe incognito or just sort of covered and then gotten a shot off? Because I asked you this because they're still looking for the suspect. Initially, they thought they had a suspect, but now they're still looking for a suspect.
So there's like a causeway, like a walkway from building to building, and there was a lot of people up top. And that would be where somebody probably could have been. It sounded in that area. And I don't see how anyone in the crowd, everyone was shoulder to shoulder. I don't see how anyone would get away in a group like that if it was in the crowd. So to me, it sounded about 60 feet away. I instantly looked to where I thought it was, and it was, I would say, about 60 feet in about the more top area, but middle of the crowd. And I didn't think it came from up top, but with knowing that he hasn't been caught yet, he had to have been hiding.
We're living in some sort of very violent times, whether it be mass shootings or these political assassinations and assassination attempts. Did you guys know what you were witnessing when it happened, or was it all just so strange?
Yeah, I think we knew instantly because everyone around us kind of stopped, looked at each other, wondered if it was real, and then dropped to the ground. And we kind of talked about it on our way there, that he's super brave to not have like a bulletproof glass in front of him. And not in Utah, no way. Utah's respectful. Like, that would never happen.
So you even acknowledge
that.
That's incredible that you guys acknowledge that, because you thought, hey, what can happen, the times that we're living in, and he's out there speaking to these people, and then this happens. Yes.
We didn't think that, not in a million years, it would happen, let alone in Utah. Yeah. It's very sad. It's angering. We've got to come together and love each other and listen to each other. Like Charlie, he never yelled at anyone in anger or made them try and believe his opinions and his facts. He challenges people to listen and learn. That's what we need to do.
Haley and Taylor, we thank you for talking to us. And again, I'm sorry you had to witness that today. I want to bring in our national law enforcement and intelligence correspondent, Tom Winter. Tom, rightly so, when we were reporting this out, we mentioned that there was a person in custody, that the school had said there was someone in custody. There were social media videos of somebody that was being handcuffed. NBC did not put that image out because we had not verified it. Now it turns out that the suspect is still on the run. What do we know?
That's right, Tom. And in case anybody's seen those photos online of somebody apparently put into handcuffs following the event, that is a person that, according to the university, is not the suspect and has not been arrested in connection with this incident. It is not uncommon, and you know, I mentioned this to you right at the time. It is not uncommon in these incidents when you see the people fleeing there that we're looking at on screen. In order for people to be put into custody, if somebody says, I think that person did it, that somebody might make a statement, might say something. And so that's something where it is not uncommon to, like I said, see somebody be placed into custody. We've seen that with other shooting incidents, other attacks, and then it turns out that person had no connection to the event. As far as where the investigation stands now, we have been reaching out to the FBI and law enforcement officials in Utah. Still no confirmed information from them as far as who they might be looking for. The governor of Utah, Spencer Cox, putting out a statement just a while ago saying he just got off the phone with President Trump and working with the FBI and Utah law enforcement. They're looking forward to bringing to justice the individual responsible for this tragedy, adding that he was obviously heartbroken and his concern for Charlie Kirk's family. This investigation now still hoping to get a briefing, perhaps as soon as 6 p.m. Eastern time tonight from officials, though that has not yet been confirmed by them. As far as who, if they know who, they are looking for. The university also initially put out that this shooting happened approximately 200 yards from the scene. You're looking at the tent there. You're looking at the courtyard where this took place. Whether or not that is the exact distance or not, they would obviously need to confirm with shell casing or a weapon that was left behind, or video that person was there. We've been showing videos throughout the afternoon here, Tom, of this incident, and is typically the case whenever there is a shooting incident, certainly that involves a fatality. We don't show that moment of the shot being hit just out of respect for the individual, but also, you know, these things tend to inflame and incite these types of incidents in the future, and certainly don't want to contribute to what the shooter tried to do this afternoon. The incident, as we saw the video of the injuries, you described them several moments ago. They appeared to be grave from the onset. Obviously, we now know Kirk was not able to survive this incident. The investigation, as far as what will happen in Utah, they'll obviously focus on the video. We know that from how many times we show surveillance video after these incidents occur. They'll also look for any sort of license plate reader technology if they have an idea of what vehicle might have been left behind or a vehicle that they're searching for. They can see where that vehicle might have been on interstates or on roads or in towns. That information is vital. That's been incredibly helpful. We've seen so many instances just in the last 6 to 9 months. I'm thinking of the person who set their Tesla on fire at the base of the Trump Hotel in Las Vegas earlier this year. That case was, as far as where that person came from in their background, license plate readers were so critical to finding out that information, and that'll be potentially helpful here if they can get a face on this person. Certainly, they can use facial recognition to be able to try and determine who this person is. Taking a step back here, yesterday I was at a gathering of law enforcement experts and officials as part of 9/11 Voices and the Voices Center for Resilience, their 9/11 family, and they have a gathering typically around this time each year. You think of the enormity, Tom, of the security issues that we had following 9/11, which is, of course, tomorrow. It'll be the 24th anniversary of that, what this country had to do to secure itself. Now you're looking at a situation that could be more difficult from a standpoint of resources. If we're going to start having these targeted violent incidents involving corporations, involving CEOs, involving high-profile people like Kirk, you're going to be in a situation here from a funding standpoint, from the amount of officers that you have available, the amount of weapons that you have in an event. Remember, even if nobody is allowed to bring a gun into an event, you have guns there by default because you have law enforcement there. So obviously that's always something that law enforcement considers in deploying this. Tomorrow, as I mentioned, 9/11, we have the vice president in New York City for the ceremony at Ground Zero. There's other travel throughout the day, including involving President Trump. And we have the United Nations General Assembly coming up in just a couple of weeks' time here in New York City. Already everybody on edge as far as protecting these political figures. And now, as we've seen this expand to other individuals in the political space, but also in the commercial space, this is a real challenge here going forward. And I don't think people really understand, perhaps just yet, the frequency and tempo that has been alarmingly increasing here over the last 9 months. And is a situation, Tom, that I can tell you because I've been talking to them since shortly after this incident happened. Everybody in law enforcement who focuses on these types of things has been immediately paying attention to this incident because of what we've seen, and I think everybody is very concerned at this hour.
All right, Tom Winter, we thank you for that. If we still have Jim Kavanaugh here, Jim, I do want to ask you a question about this manhunt. It has been a couple of hours now. There's no suspect in custody just yet, but it is still early. That the gunman was able to get away in sort of the pandemonium after the assassination. How hard is it now for investigators?
Well, it's tough, Thomas. A sniper attack, an assassin with a rifle uses that rifle. There's two reasons. One is he can't get close enough to his target. Like, for example, someone protected by the Secret Service or the Diplomatic Security Service. He can't get close enough. The second is he really wants to escape. So when you are familiar with assassins and snipers, this is how they think. This shot, I've watched that video of Mr. Kirk being wounded over and over again. He's wounded in the left front of his neck. It looks like maybe a hunting rifle, a 30-06, a 308 rifle. It's a large wound, immediately a large loss of blood. And he's in a bowl. I mean, his tent for his speaking arrangement is in a bowl. There's grass steps. You can see the people on your shot there as it elevates up. And if the assassin is in a position on the building, even one floor above that grassy section, he has a shot right down into the bowl. And when you're on an elevated shot with a rifle, and it's probably a scope, that's really not that difficult a shot. You don't have to be any kind of a trained sniper. And the person can get in and egress. There's no robust security here. Get into the site and maybe shoot from a window or a roof or a hidden nook and break the rifle in half, put it in a duffel bag, and escape. So what I'd be looking for here, Tom, is a rifle recovered? Because there may be no rifle recovered. Is there a cartridge recovered? There may be no cartridge recovered. If he fires from a bolt-action rifle, the cartridge does not even eject. So once he folds the rifle down, he can escape. So the fact that they don't have someone in custody now makes me believe that the sniper planned his egress. And if you think about snipers past in the history, and I've worked on a number of sniper cases, but look at Lee Harvey Oswald. He planned his escape. He got out of the building, just luckily, and because he was confronted in the building by a motor cop at gunpoint, but he got out of it with the superintendent, and he made his way to his neighborhood where he killed a Dallas policeman, J.D. Tippett. James Earl Ray fired from a bathroom of a boarding house across the street from the Lorraine Motel when he killed Dr. King with a rifle as well. And he escaped. So snipers want to escape. They want to get away. And with no robust security there, he could have got into a bathroom window, top of a roof, and like I say, a nook, and he had a shot on Mr. Kirk. That shot, when you look at the overall scene, Tom, from an aerial shot, if you look to the left of the tent, you will see there's a lot of portions of the elevated building there, which is not a long shot. You know, we're talking 200 yards, could be 150 yards, could be 220 yards. But with a deer rifle setup, a scope, is one shot. That was his purpose, and he made his escape. So if there's no rifle and no cartridge, you're relying on the video at the campus, you know, anything that might have been nearby, any witnesses. That's what's going to be critical today.
And local law enforcement and now the FBI, we know, are going to be on scene trying to hunt down this gunman. I do want to bring in Meet the Press moderator, Kristen Welker. Kristen, I understand you just spoke to the White House about what had happened to Charlie Kirk, about this assassination, this horrific event that has happened on the campus of an American university. So, Kristen, what is the White House saying? Because Charlie Kirk had such a close relationship with both President Trump, the vice president, and the Trump children.
Well, you're absolutely right, Tom, and that's basically what this White House official said. Everyone there is in a state of relationship with Charlie Kirk, and they just cannot believe that this has actually happened, that his life has been taken. He is a young father. As you were discussing with Hogan Gidley, they were all so impressed and energized by him, and so they are just in a state of shock. And now at the White House, and of course, the reaction is bipartisan, Tom. Let me read you some of what we're hearing from Gabby Giffords, of course, a victim of political violence herself, writing, "The murder of Charlie Kirk breaks my heart. My deepest sympathies are with his wife, 2 young children, and friends. Democratic societies will always have political disagreements, but we must never allow America to become a country that confronts those disagreements with violence. Attacks against political or ideological opponents are cowardly and un-American and must be universally condemned." And Tom, that's basically the sentiment that we are hearing from Democrats and Republicans. House Speaker Mike Johnson saying simply, this has to end, calling for a moment of silence. The question, though, and you were discussing this with Kelly O'Donnell earlier, is what happens now? What can lawmakers do? What can we all do as a society to prevent these acts of political violence? Because they are increasing. The fact that you had these assassination attempts against President Trump when he was running for office, the fact that you have these assassinations of lawmakers in Minnesota has just rocked the political world. And what we are hearing is enough is enough. And you can see the grief, you can see the shock and the anguish in the face of these lawmakers. But the question, Tom, what comes next? What will they do about it? What can they do, given how sharply divided this country is? But I do think that that's where the conversation is going to go next.
Kristen, it also sort of changes how politicians and people like Charlie Kirk will share their message. Yes, there is social media. Yes, there are the airwaves. You can broadcast whatever you want these days. But part of politics is being able to press the flesh, being able to see into someone's eyes, being able to hear them up close. That's what campaigns are really all about. It's one of the strengths many people will say that President Trump had, right? In all 3 of his campaigns, he was out there campaigning a lot. And one of Charlie Kirk's strengths to his supporters was that he would go out there, he would debate anyone, but he would take the message across college campuses all over America. And the thing I keep coming back to is that if somebody like Charlie Kirk, who again had a huge platform but never ran for office, he wasn't elected, if he could become the target of some sick, deranged individual, right? What does that say about everybody else out there that is working in politics right now, that is trying to do something, that is trying to make a change? And how will this change the way people campaign or speak in public?
Well, Tom, it could have a real chilling effect. And I think you bring up a critical point, which is that as you were speaking with the couple earlier there, who were at the rally, who witnessed this horrific incident, he did not have a bulletproof glass in front of him. Will that change? Remember, that did change for President Trump when he was campaigning in this last cycle after the assassination attempts against him. So security will undoubtedly be in focus. But you're right, this is a hallmark of our democracy, the ability to debate, to have these robust discussions. And Charlie Kirk liked to be in the center of it. That's why he was someone who was respected by Democrats and Republicans. Tom, you had Governor Gavin Newsom appear on his podcast. And so the question becomes, how can these political events move forward in a more secure, safer way? And there you see the flag lowered at half-staff at the White House, a really somber day in Washington and Utah and all across the country, Tom.
Yeah, the president ordering that right there. You can see the flag at half-staff. We also have a new statement from Turning Point USA. I want to put it up on the screen for our viewers here. It reads, "It is with a heavy heart that we confirm that Charles James Kirk has been murdered by a gunshot that took place during Turning Point USA's The American Comeback Tour campus event at Utah Valley University on September 10th, 2025. May he be received into the merciful arms of our loving Savior who suffered and died for Charlie. We ask that everyone keep his family and loved ones in your prayers. We ask that you please respect their privacy and dignity in this time." A very powerful statement there from Turning Point USA. Tom Winter, I understand, has some new reporting, our national law enforcement and intelligence correspondent. We've been talking about what we know and what we don't know. Initially, there was a suspect in custody. Then the school came back and said, no, we don't have a suspect in custody, but we think the shot came from 200 yards away, which is a good distance. There were thousands of people in the crowd, and they identified the building in the back where they think the shot came from. What else do we know, Tom?
It is a good distance, Tom, but as our colleague Jim Kavanaugh pointed out, I think very accurately so, for somebody who has even just a basic understanding of a semi-automatic rifle, this would not have been a particularly difficult shot to make, and it underscores obviously the tragedy of it. Obviously, Kirk didn't see it coming. He did appear to have some security near him on stage, but this would have required what appears to be kind of more of a response that we would see at a Secret Service event, where you would have locked down the entire area, had high-angle snipers, and would have had to put up a perimeter which would have prohibited weapons from inside of it in order to be able to handle this. They said that the shots may have come from the Low C Center. That might in fact be true. There was a tent up which would have made it difficult to see Kirk. So without knowing that angle specifically, that might raise questions as far as if that's actually where the shot came from. But assuming the initial information is true, as I mentioned, it would not have been a difficult shot for whoever did this. Clearly did it in a way not to be initially detected, as Jim alluded to, and is now somebody who, as of last reports, appears to be on the run. As you can imagine, I keep glancing down because our phones are constantly buzzing here as we're tracking down various pieces of information and trying to corroborate information. But our latest reporting is that there is not an individual in custody, that law enforcement is still looking for somebody. This is going to be Utah law enforcement investigation first. Certainly could have a federal nexus. The FBI, according to its director, Kash Patel, is on scene, Tom.
Yeah, Tom, before you go, it was a good point. If we bring that map back up, the point you make about where this gunman may or may not have been, because if they were up on that roof, they would have been at an elevated point. Remember, the amphitheater was sunk down and they had that tent. So, of course, they're going to be investigating this center as well, looking exactly where the gunman was posted and how they got away. And you got to think this area likely might not have been canvassed because Charlie was not an elected official. He was somebody who was coming there to talk. All right, Tom, thank you for that. This concludes this NBC News special report. We're going to come back on the air again when officials in Utah hold a news conference. We'll have more ahead tonight, of course, on Nightly News. I'm Tom Llamas. We thank you for watching.
Okay, again, that's the latest from NBC on this special report on the now fatal shooting of Charlie Kirk. He was speaking at an event at Utah Valley University, shot from about 200 yards away. People are estimating. ATF and FBI on scene. His death was confirmed by President Donald Trump in a Truth Social post, and then later from a statement by Turning Point USA. Now, the man that they initially apprehended and suspected to be the shooter was later confirmed to not be the shooter. shooter. They're suspecting that the gunman got away in the chaos. We're going to have a little bit of a local angle here. Ethan Kramer's coming in to join us here in just a second, talking about the reaction from local lawmakers on this incident. Again, a well-known political commentator, a right-wing activist, shot while speaking at a university, shot and killed while speaking at Utah Valley University, while speaking on his tour there. They did confirm that the shooter was not a student, though the person that they initially apprehended as the shooter, they are now saying that he is no longer the suspect. They believe that the suspect got away, and that waiting on a little bit of a live local reaction here. We'll take you to Valley News Live at 4 here, which is just getting rolling in just a second for their coverage as well. Stay tuned right here for us. We have you covered. As we continue to kind of get all the details on this, more and more coming out. Obviously, it was reported as a shooting. The video has been widely spread online now at this point. I know our networks have been showing it up to the moment where the single gunshot rang out. But seeing the full video, it's truly disturbing, and I feel. I don't feel like I'm being editorial by saying that. So just another high-profile event here that we're continuing to cover here on Valley News Live. Again, the latest that we know on this, for those of you just joining us, Charlie Kirk, a political commentator, is now dead. We're going to go to Valley News Live at 4. Bobby Fallett has the latest.
That conservative political activist Charlie Kirk has died after being shot at an event at a Utah college. Reporter Torian Small is following this story from the White House, where the president got word of the violence.
It happened in broad daylight at an event at Utah Valley University. As Charlie Kirk addressed the crowd, a shot was fired.
All of a sudden I hear up top, I just saw him grab, it looked like his neck, and there's just blood pouring out everywhere. And his eyes kind of rolled back.
Kirk was rushed from the premises to the hospital. Kirk, a rising star in conservative politics and a fierce ally of President Trump. He is a co-founder of Turning Point USA, which advocates for conservative politics on university campuses. Well known to CBS News Chief Washington analyst Bob Costa.
I have covered Charlie Kirk for a long time, have spoken to him at so many political events over the years. This is someone who has galvanized conservatives across the country. He is seen as someone who was really able to gather the Trump movement, especially those under 30, and make them into a force.
President Trump posted, "We must all pray for Charlie Kirk," calling him a great guy from top to bottom. Torian Small, CBS News, Washington.
Now, police say that a suspect is not in custody at this point. Utah Valley University students who are still on campus, they are being offered police escorts as authorities continue to search for that suspect. Now, we spoke with the lawmakers right after the shooting. We will have their reaction tonight on Valley News Live at 9 and 10. And more breaking news, as at least 3 students were
away from Bobby's report on Valley News Live at 4. If you'd like to see the rest of the newscast, feel free to join in. Joining me now on the desk to talk about kind of what he's seen as we continue to follow this situation with the Charlie Kirk shooting is Ethan Kramer. Ethan, Bobby teed it up for us. We were talking to local lawmakers kind of about what's happened today. Kind of what have you learned in just these few hours here?
I mean, it's been a very busy few hours. There's been a lot of information going around. First of all, it's a really horrible incident. What happened over in Utah, just truly, truly tragic. Today, moments ago, I spoke with Congresswoman Julie Fedorchak of North Dakota. She spoke with me a little while ago, and then I was actually on a Zoom call with Senator Kevin Kramer when the news was announced that Charlie Kirk had died. And I think Devin has the sound here of the initial reaction.
Yeah, thank you for getting this to me. Also, we have this right here. This again, Kevin Kramer's live reaction, Senator Kevin Kramer's live reaction to the news that Charlie Kirk had died as a result of his injuries.
Well, of course, yeah, I'm learning this as we record this. It saddens me a great deal. It also scares me a little bit, quite honestly. Charlie is a victim of political violence. I hope it's isolated. I hope they get the perpetrator for sure, and I hope that the people who love Charlie Kirk those of us who have listened to and gotten to know him, and who care about him and his family, I hope that we can hear the message of a gospel of peace, and that we can not let this lead to further violence or retaliation, but rather lead to some form of unity. And that doesn't mean all agree on everything politically, but that we can agree that our discourse has to be civil. And so I condemn that action in the absolute strongest of terms, that has led to this very sad day and this very tragic moment, taking this very young life away far, far too early. Somebody who had all of the future in front of him to do really big things.
Thank you for that, Ethan. Again, for those of you that may be just joining us, that was the live reaction from Senator Kevin Cramer on learning during his interview with Ethan that Charlie Kirk had died. Ethan, as you kind of continue to talk about, the local politicians in our area or our state, kind of what's been the biggest, obviously takeaway from it is just how tragic of an event it is, but kind of what has been the biggest message from them?
Yeah, no, it's firsthand. They've talked about how tragic of a moment this is. It truly is, and they've also talked about one thing that Charlie Kirk always stressed was he was a man of faith. And there was a big thing that Senator Cramer talked about. It was a big thing that Representative Fedorchak talked about. So that was a big thing. And it's just a really, truly tragic moment. And we also we'll have reaction from Governor Armstrong later. He released a statement, as well as Governor Walz. There are plenty of reactions coming in locally, and we'll have that later tonight at 9 and 10, and as well as at 6.
Perfect. Ethan, thank you so much for kind of giving us a local perspective on this as we continue to follow this situation here at Valley News Live. Thanks for making some time for me on the desk too. Appreciate it, buddy. Good work out there. Good work. We're going to go ahead and wrap up this Valley News Now digital update for right now. Again, stay tuned to all of our platforms on TV, on our Valley News Live app. We're going to keep you updated as this situation continues to develop. But for now, for Valley News Now, I'm Devin Fry.